Whew. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Kenny's Life Thoughts and Retirement videos, the channel for everyone to watch me work or tell stories. Kind of reminds me, it's pretty cold out this morning. This is that hemlock tree that fell across the driveway earlier a few weeks ago. And I don't necessarily like burning hemlock, but it'll do. I'm going to stack it all up in there and let it dry until next fall or whenever I decide to burn it. Most of this wood in here is really, really dry already. But this one obviously is soaking wet. It's a brand new fall down, so it's pretty wet. Anyway, this cold is reminding me of something. When I was younger, I was so naive about stuff, and Kathleen's dad one year decided to ask me if I wanted to go hunting with him. And it was her dad, their family friend who was an orthodontist who put braces on both my kids. So it was her dad, might have been both of her. Kathleen has twin brothers, so I don't know, maybe both of them were there or just one of them. I can't remember the first time I went hunting. And of course, the orthodontist. And I had never been hunting in my life. So I go to the thrift store or someplace, Army Surplus I think it was, and I bought a pair of wool pants, long underwear of course, and I think I had a pretty good coat that was pretty warm. And Kathleen's dad used to wear Danner boots, so I want to be like Kathleen's dad, so I'm going to go buy some Danner boots. And they were much like the ones that I have on right now. And the reason I'm remembering this story is because my feet are cold right now. They're really cold, and I don't know why I didn't put my other boots on. But anyway, I'm getting ready to go hunting. Never been hunting before in my life, and her dad, Kathleen's dad, says, "Oh, I go to the Danner store, buy a brand new pair of boots, and we get to Eastern Oregon, and it's freaking cold. I mean, like, get your attention kind of cold. We're staying in a canvas wall tent with a little pellet stove in it that barely kept us warm, especially at night. Oh, I went and bought a new sleeping bag too, one of those mummified sleeping bags that you can't move in, but supposedly it was going to keep you warm. And this one kept me pretty warm, but the problem was I had a hard time getting in and out of it. So, when you got to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, you got to get up and go when it's freaking cold outside. Anyway, it's like right at zero, probably temperature wise. Sometimes it dipped below zero or 10 above zero. It's cold out. And her dad, again, I'd never been hunting, so I have no idea what I'm doing. And we all kind of go up this mountainside. We were in the Ukiah unit. That's where we used to go. We would camp at a place called, I think it was Big Creek Campground. And we would walk out of camp and go up into the hills. Again, not being experienced, wasn't sure what to expect. Kathleen's dad says, I just want you to go in there, about 100 yards. I go, 100 yards? He goes, yeah, the length of a football field. Just go in there about 100 yards, find a comfortable stump, and I want you to sit on it until you see an elk come by, and then shoot it if you see one come through. And remember, it's got to have horns. And I said, okay. I did that for, I want to say, that kind of hunting. I went to the same area, same basic stump area, and sat there the whole time during the season. And I froze my ass off, literally, and my feet were frozen. Literally, they're cold right now, but back then they were really cold because it was so cold outside. My feet were frozen, but I wasn't going to complain about it. and I didn't say anything, and I suffered through that at least 3 seasons. Finally, after the 3rd season, now I'm telling you, my feet are so cold, they never warmed up the whole entire time I was at this hunting camp. I would stand up in my, sitting on that stump and pound my feet on the ground. I'm sure that really helped me to see elk, because I was so cold. I was trying to do anything possible to get blood flowing back into my feet. And after the 3rd season, I finally said, you know what? I am done with this. I gotta go. I gotta go find out what's going on here. So I brought my boots into Dan. I said, I think there's something wrong with these boots. He goes, well, the guy goes, what do you mean? I go, well, I hunt in them and my feet are freezing cold. He goes, well, where are you hunting? I tell him. He goes, what's the temperature? And I go, tell him. And he goes, well, those are not insulated boots. And I go, what? He goes, there's no insulation in those boots. And I said, okay, what boot do I need to buy that my feet won't be freezing? And he sells me this other pair of Danners that had, I can't remember the grams of insulation in them, but they were insulated at least, and my feet were so much warmer after that. And I actually graduated to a Sorel boot because my feet, for some reason, are sensitive to cold. Like right now, they're cold. My toes are cold. But at some point, the Sorels weren't very good because they weren't great hiking boots. But boy, if you're sitting on a stand like I was doing and just sitting there not moving, they worked great. I got 2 pair of them in the house, matter of fact. Anyway, I was so naive. I had no idea what I was doing. And I would have these conversations with her brother and say, well, okay, let's say we do get an elk down, then what? And I have since learned, because I have harvested a few elk in my day now, but if I would have gotten an elk back then, there would have been no way in hell I would have known what to do with it. Just because I was inexperienced and had no clue, and I had people trying to guide me that, now her dad knew how to handle elk, but he wasn't always with us. He was either back at camp having a few whiskey pops, or very rarely did he walk up in the woods with us. Yeah. But anyway, I guess the point is that I was pretty naive and my feet were really cold. I'm splitting this firewood up just because I want to get it out from underneath. If the rains ever do come back, this tends to get pretty wet right here. So I want to get at least the tree that fell down across the driveway, which this is about half of it now. The other half is still in rounds there. I'm going to split, and then I'm going to stack it up in there. And I got a whole other tree up that's laying on the ground I think I've mentioned in prior videos. It's a big tree. It's 100 feet long at least. So I'm going to wait till spring to buck it up. But yeah, I love doing this kind of job because, one, I can just sit here and meditate with myself and not worry or think about too much stuff other than keeping my hands safe. Anyway, appreciate you watching my video today. And as always, be safe and be well and make good choices. And we'll chat with you soon. My grandpa built these buildings around here like this one, and he was shorter than me, quite a bit shorter, I think. And I mean, I'm 6'4", and I have a hard time. I bang my head in that every now and then. So I'm not real bright sometimes, and I forget that that's a low area there, and I hit my head. I curse him every time I bang my head on it, by the way. I don't curse myself because it's not my fault, of course. Thought I'd stack this up since I got a pile going here. Grandma and Grandpa, when they were burning wood up here, we had that old wood cook stove and the old firebox that was where my wood stove is now. We covered that old firebox up with bricks and masonry and stuff. But anyway, when they were burning wood up here, my estimate was they were going through at least 10 cords a year. So gathering and splitting wood was a full-time job. Oh, and by the way, he didn't have one of those wood splitters. He did it all by hand. And of course, I would help him. But when I was younger, my job was to stack the firewood in old apple boxes. He paid me 10 cents a box to stack that wood up as he was hand splitting it. So I learned at an early age. I was not very old when I was doing that. Of course, he liked to lecture a lot. And I got good at it, believe me. I didn't want to mess it up. Not doing it right or doing it the way he wanted it was the problem. So I did. I would spend hours stacking wood into apple crates. Not crates, but apple boxes. They were like cardboard boxes that had like a wax on them. And the stove that was in the kitchen at the time was an old antique wood cook stove that my grandma used to cook on. And that took a special kind of size of wood because, you know, it was a small firebox. And so that was the stuff that I would stack by hand in those boxes and pile it up over there. And I would spend, like I said, hours doing that. But he gave me 10 cents a box. Which was nice of him. If he had to restack a box, though, because I didn't do it right or I got in a hurry and I was impatient or something, yeah, that didn't go over very well. Didn't go over very well, especially if he went and he saw what I had done and he would dump out the wood out of the box and tell me to do it again. And he wouldn't pay me to do it twice, of course. So you kind of learned some lessons there. And like I said, this thing, I've shortened it up a little bit because the weather would pour in on the other side, so I kind of blocked it off. It only impacted it maybe 1 cord or something. You can't get quite as much in there in here as maybe by 1 cord. I think right now, if I filled this up, it'd be about approximately, it's hard to measure, but about 12 cords. Think about it that way. This entire woodshed, they would go through all this wood, at least 10 cords in a winter. And that was every year without fail. So there was no shortage of work to be done as far as wood stacking and wood cutting was concerned, for sure. Anyway, I'm going to get to stacking this stuff up, and then I'm going to cut the rest of it up and then stack it as well. So I'm going to let everybody go. I'll talk with you soon.